Trailblazers, I misspoke earlier. Atlanta last Tuesday.
Yes.
They won, and that was funny because they needed to lose and Atlanta needed to win.
That was the one where I was, people proclaimed I was very angry the next day on the show.
You did seem
angry
very
dirt
angry.
on
you
Wednesday.
You did seem very angry. Sharp had 33 in that game.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Then they went
Denny
to Toronto.
Denny had a big game too, I believe.
He had a good game. Yeah, 15 boards, 10 assists.
But now he's got a thumb sprain, so he can't play anymore. 4 days later, he can't play
Let's
anymore.
get to this. So then they go to Toronto Thursday. They win that game.
They do.
Then they play Chicago Friday. I called it, by the way. Told you they were going to lose.
You did. You called that one.
But they only lost because in that game, they tanked.
Wait, what? I was told they're not tanking, though. It's unethical, and you're taunting the basketball gods. They would never ever do that. They would never have guys having a good game, and then with 5 minutes to go in a close game in which their playoff hopes were technically still alive, would sit there. But there's no way they would ever do that. Because when who did it in Portland? It was
the Raptors.
The Raptors did it. There was one other team that did it too. I can't remember. Was it Atlanta when they were here? There was some other team when they were in Portland did the same thing. And I was told that was the most unethical thing imaginable, and the Blazers would never tempt the basketball gods like that.
Well, then Friday they say, let's lose this game. We don't want to beat the Bulls. The Bulls are in play-in stuff. They lose. Then they play the Spurs yesterday afternoon.
They did. 3 o'clock start.
And the Spurs obviously don't have Wemby, but the Spurs aren't trotting out there the greatest of lineups. Spurs have not been playing good basketball. But you're in a fight for the 8.
You are.
To be the 8th worst team in the league, you're in a fight with this team.
You're a game and a half behind them going into the game.
And I'll at least say this. Portland did say, well, Denny's not going to play, all right? We're going to do what we can to lose this game. And then the Spurs showed up and said, no, we're not going to make a shot. You're going to go up almost 20.
In the first quarter.
And they damn near blew it, but they didn't blow it because Tamani had a great game. Chris Murray had a nice little game. And they beat the San Antonio Spurs, basically eliminating themselves from getting the 8th worst record.
Yeah, it's over.
And now they're in a race with Phoenix to see who's going to be 10th because Phoenix lost to the Knicks. And now Portland is like a half game behind in the old percentages. And so if they beat, who is their next game? At Utah, and they'll win that game.
They're going to beat Utah.
They beat Utah. Phoenix plays Golden State, who is currently playing for playoff positioning, and Phoenix blows.
Yeah, Kevin Durant's hurt.
There's a good chance Portland could pass the Phoenix Suns for the 10th worst record.
Well done.
In the association. And I'm just going to say this because I know some people are going to hear dirt. And they're going to go, here we go again, Mr. Angry Pants. That's the nickname on the streets, by the way.
Mr. Angry Pants is
Andy,
or Grouchy Pants.
It's Andy, Mr. Angry Pants.
Mr. Angry Pants Johnson, that's what they call me.
I know it's coming, but I will say this. I text with a few different media members, both in our market and out of our market, and it was a most universal, I have no idea what this team is doing or thinking right now. It is all over the board of win, don't win. No, don't win, but try not to win. But win. But win? Don't we win? Should we lose?
Can't tank. Now we're tanking.
And so I'm just kind of fascinated at this point because they only have
3 games
left.
Literally 3 games to go.
I am fascinated to see
Final week of the regular season.
This is it.
Where they will finish. Will they be ahead of Phoenix? Or will they be behind Phoenix? I have no idea at this point.
10th worst record in the NBA is an unmitigated disaster.
Now, the Blazers' last 2 games are against the Lakers and Warriors, who appear
likely will be playing for something.
Will be playing something.
I had a few different. Takes too from the people I was texting, and it was basically that. It was how did they talk themselves into purposely losing for last year's draft?
Yeah.
But this year,
in a better
they waited
draft.
to the final 7 games to say, hey, maybe we shouldn't try as hard.
Let's turn that water off now with 3 games to go in the regular season when they had
for a substantially better draft. It's not even a conversation.
It was almost comical to see what happened on Friday and then yesterday. I almost couldn't help but laugh at it because I have been yelled at for weeks by people telling me they would never do that. They have a head coach that won't allow them to tank, missing the entire point.
Who has yelled at you for that? Because they actually quite literally have been doing that the last 2 years.
They've been tanking at the end of years.
Yes.
That's been my entire argument the last 2 to 3 years.
Clear as day.
They've played a G League roster the last month of the season the last 2 years. They've had no problem doing doing this in an unethical fashion for back-to-back seasons now when they play 4 guys that I've never heard of before in Scoot Henderson for the last month of the year last year. Nobody had a problem with it. And the idea that this year you couldn't do it is just they should have done this 3 weeks ago. Winning the games in Atlanta, winning the games in Toronto were just inexcusable. They had the game where they beat Denver a couple of weeks back on a Friday night. Like, the opportunity was there not to get a top 5 odds. That ship had sailed. The opportunity to get into the top 6 likely gone. Your main goal should have been to get into the top 8. And now that is done. They're 2.5 ahead of or behind, however you want to define it, San Antonio with 3 games to go.
I say behind because we're talking about the race to
you're
the bottom.
2.5
here,
behind
so
San Antonio.
Yeah.
So you're not getting a top 8 pick. That is sailed. And now you might end up with the 10th worst record in the NBA or the 10th best odds in the NBA draft lottery, which going into the year, if I would have told you that on game 1 of the regular season, you would have said, oh my God, that's a disaster because you're exactly where you don't want to be. You're not good enough. You're not bad enough. And so them randomly coming out on Friday night and acknowledging, you know what, we should probably start losing games with, let me check my notes, 4.5 games to go in the regular season. Well, now you want to start tanking? Are you kidding me?
Then the funny part was they actually trotted out a tanking lineup yesterday to say,
what happened
to
Denny Avdia all of a sudden? Did he get hurt?
Thumb injury.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's that nagging thumb injury.
Duh, he hurt his thumb.
Yeah.
You're telling me he couldn't have hurt his thumb before he started having 35, 15, and 10 triple-doubles 3 weeks ago? Now he hurts his thumb when you have not, like, it's done. It's over.
I thought it was the funniest
The movie's
thing.
ended. The credits are playing.
Yeah, well.
Now he's got a hurt thumb.
Now at the end of movies, though, Dirt, you have to wait till the credits are done to see the tease for the next movie.
So this is the teaser.
So let's wait. Let's see where they
25
finish.
Jump Street and 26 Jump Street and 27 Jump Street.
I had this on. I was trying to get ready for the gambling show, and I have this on, and I'm just chuckling because I'm seeing the starting lineup of Tamani, Donovan, Tease, Shaden, Banton. And I went, oh, they're going to try to lose. They're clearly trying to lose this game. It's a race for 8. It's the Spurs.
But I was told that Chauncey Billups wouldn't let him do it. He doesn't have to. You play a bad lineup. You should have done that a month ago.
Dude, their bench was Justin Minaya, Jabari, Chris Murray, and Ryan Rupert. Yeah. And they won going away. I mean, the Spurs came back, but they kind of won going away at the end there.
Kamara shouldn't have played either. Why Kamara
Chris
was in the
Murray
lineup?
looked like Keegan all of a sudden. So.
That's fine. Kamara shouldn't be in the lineup. Shaden Sharp shouldn't be in the lineup. Like, this should legitimately
Who's a G
be...
League guy that we didn't call up that we could have put in Tamani's place?
There's got to be another guy on the G League roster.
That was the funniest thing. To the other side that's like the ethical tanking and who cares? It's a lot, guys. It's a lottery, you know. Anybody could win the first pick.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get it.
Maybe.
We don't tend to get good stuff here. Yeah. We don't get nice things in Portland. I also know we're not built for it here in this city. And so watching the arguments back and forth of tank, no tank, I feel like that loss actually did it. Go check the Blazers mentions and their smiley face. Hey, we won today. It was just like, why did you win?
Why?
What are you doing? But they tried to lose, and they couldn't because the Spurs were terrible in the first half.
They got out-tanked. It was never about that game. It was about beating Memphis and Washington and Toronto and Denver a couple of weeks ago.
Well, in hindsight, you look
winning
back,
in Atlanta,
the
winning
10
in
of
Toronto.
11. The 10 of 11 that they had, that streak where people were like, I don't know, man, this team might be kind of built for something.
And Blazer fans, guess what you did again?
Well,
you fell directly into the trap as you do every single year. Hey, they could be turning a corner. They did just enough to continue to make you buy tickets all the way until the end of the season, and now they've turned the water off and pulled the plug. They did just enough.
I've seen some empty
to keep you around until game 82 of the regular season.
Yeah. Well, isn't that all you could ask for? Little old Portland, Oregon.
Little
USA.
old Portland, Oregon.
Cherry blossoms and Blazers winning games in late April.
You're
so
the
excited.
Seattle Mariners of the NBA. You do just enough.
Whoa.
Just
We've been
enough.
to the finals, buddy.
That's been a long time. Does
I
it
should
count?
Be careful with
if it
that.
hasn't happened in the last 25 years, does it count?
We've had way more playoff success than the Mariners.
It's easier to make the playoffs in the NBA than it is Major League Baseball.
Yeah, but it's not easier to get to the Final Four. We were in the Final Four in 2019.
You're damn right we were. Were we, though? Because we didn't win a game, so I don't know if that really counts about being in the Final Four.
I was at those games. They really happened.
The logo was on the court? Is that what you're telling me?
Me and Colin Kaepernick sitting courtside.
Just as much as UCLA was in the Final Four of the women's tournament.
I can't with this team anymore. I can't do it.
Wow, there's 3 games left, so you could just, grip down and just go with it.
I'm not watching those games. I'm not doing it.
How bad is the Utah game going? Like,
that's going to be.
What would you be watching the Utah game for?
Which way is it going to go? Like, because Utah plays no defense.
Utah has been. I mean, you talk about.
Portland's
they're giving
win
up
that game.
140 a night.
Portland's going to win that game. Ryan Rupert will go for 37 points.
Is there a chance we lose that game, though? We don't play well at Utah.
No.
I'm
But
just
I
saying.
guess, is the game going to be like 150 to 145?
Isn't Tamani questionable?
Or is it going to be...
He's been questionable for a
It's
week,
been
and they like
questionable
playing
for
him.
like 2 weeks.
Eventually, that questionable
Oh.
turns into doubtful, turns
right.
into Chauncey saying Tamani Kamara is not playing today.
The Jazz have, I believe, the worst home record. No, I stand corrected. Washington is 8-31 at home.
But can the
Utah's
Jazz pass
9-30.
anybody? Well, they're in the top. They're in the bottom three, so it doesn't matter. Their
Doesn't
odds
matter.
don't matter.
Them,
They're
Charlotte,
set.
and
I'm just gonna say
Washington are
this.
locked into the bottom three.
I'm gonna say this: Tamani doesn't play. There is actually a legitimate shot that we lose that game.
I love your optimistic take. They're going to win that game.
Well,
And then knowing our luck, we're probably going to get to the final 2 games of the regular season where things are mostly decided maybe for Golden State or LA. I'd have to go look at all the numbers and the math behind it. But watch the Lakers not play anybody the final game of the regular season, and it's like, oh, look at that. Let's add another one and jump
in the
jump
West,
Phoenix.
the Lakers are a game and a half ahead of the Nuggets for third,
Okay.
and they're 4 back of the Rockets, so they ain't catching the Rockets.
So depending on what happens in the next 2 games for those two, they might be locked into the 3 seed by the time that happens.
and also the Warriors are tied currently with the Clippers.
The Warriors
for
are gonna
5-6.
the Warriors will have to play.
Warriors are going to play.
They'll play.
So the
They'll-
Warriors will be playing. You will lose that game.
by 500 points. You would lose that game.
Let's see. We'll see what happens to Utah.
They're going to lose.
Utah's been so
I mean, they're going to win. They're going to win that game.